Have you ever heard about the story of the prodigal son? It's an age-old tale that's been passed down through generations, a parable from the Bible that's brimming with lessons about forgiveness, love, and understanding. The story unfolds around a father and his two sons. The younger son, brimming with youthful arrogance and a thirst for independence, asks his father for his share of the property. He's eager to carve out his own path in the world, disregarding the warmth and safety of his home. The elder son, on the other hand, chooses to stay back, dutifully tending to the family estate, embodying obedience and responsibility. The younger son packs up his share and sets off on his journey, leaving behind the familiar comforts of his home. But don't be quick to judge him just yet. Remember, every journey has its own unique twists and turns. So, what happens when this younger son leaves home with his share? Let's find out. The younger son sets off on his journey filled with dreams and aspirations. Imagine, if you will, a young man, his heart filled with anticipation and his mind buzzing with dreams. He's got a pocket full of riches and a world that's ripe for the taking. The world is his oyster, and he's ready to pry it open and claim the pearl within. But as time passes, the sheen of newfound freedom begins to fade. The young man's money, like sand slipping through his fingers, is spent on frivolous pursuits and reckless living. He trades the comfort of his father's house for fleeting joys, oblivious to the looming storm clouds on his horizon. One day he wakes up to find his pockets empty, his friends gone, and himself in the middle of a severe famine. The world that once seemed so welcoming now shows its harsh, indifferent face. His dreams crumble like a castle of sand, washed away by the relentless waves of reality. In desperation, he takes up a job he would never have considered before, feeding pigs. A job that was beneath his dignity, a job that reminded him every day of how far he had fallen. The irony is cruel. Once he had feasted on the finest foods, and now he envied the slop the pigs were eating. Hunger gnawed at his belly, a constant reminder of his folly. His life was a stark contrast to the one he had left behind. He had traded a life of security and love for one of hardship and loneliness. He had squandered his inheritance, the fruits of his father's hard work, on meaningless pleasures. The realization was harsh, the regret stinging like salt on a fresh wound. From living a life of luxury, he finds himself in a dire situation. What does he do next? In the face of such adversity, would he crumble or would he rise? Would he let his mistakes define him, or would he learn from them and forge a new path? Only time would tell. In his misery, the younger son has an epiphany. It's a moment that happens to many of us when we hit rock bottom, a moment of profound realization. As he sat there amidst the swine and muck, a thought struck him with the force of a lightning bolt. He thought about his father's house, the warmth of a home, and the abundance of food even for the servants. The disparity between his current situation and his past life was stark and painful. He realized how he had squandered his father's hard-earned wealth, how he had traded the comfort of home for a life of fleeting pleasures, and how wrong he had been to leave. The younger son was filled with remorse and regret. He understood that he had made a grave mistake, and he decided to do something about it. He resolved to return to his father, to confess his mistakes, and to seek forgiveness. He planned to tell his father, "I've sinned against heaven and in your sight. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants." It was a humbling decision, a testament to his newfound maturity and understanding. He was ready to accept the consequences of his actions and start anew, even if it meant being a servant in his father's house. He decides to go back, not knowing how his father would react. What do you think happens next? The younger son returns home filled with guilt and regret. The journey has been long and arduous, but he's finally back where he started, standing at the threshold of his father's house. He's not the same brash, impulsive young man who left home with a pocket full of dreams. He's humbled, chastened by life's hard lessons. His heart pounds in his chest as he steps forward, wondering whether he's still welcome. And then he sees him, his father. The old man's face, lined with worry, suddenly lights up with an indescribable joy. It's as if the sun has suddenly burst forth from behind a cloud, banishing the darkness and bathing everything in its warm, radiant glow. The father, in his joy, doesn't see a wayward son who squandered his inheritance. He doesn't see a failure. No, he sees his boy, his beloved child. His heart swells with relief and happiness. His son, whom he thought was lost, has returned. Without a moment's hesitation, the father orders his servants to bring out the best robe, a ring, and sandals for his son. These are not mere items of clothing, they are symbols of status, of belonging. In giving them to his son, the father is saying, "You are my son, you are home, and you are loved." But the father's generosity doesn't stop there. He wants to celebrate this momentous occasion, so he organizes a feast, a grand party with music and dancing. The fatted calf, the choicest of their livestock, is prepared for the feast. It's a celebration of joy and forgiveness, a testament to the transformative power of love and acceptance. The father's response to his son's return is not just about joy. It's also about grace. It's a powerful reminder that no matter how far we stray, no matter how many mistakes we make, there's always a chance for redemption. There's always a way back home. But what about the elder son? How does he react to his brother's return? The elder son, upon hearing the celebration, is filled with resentment. Now, the elder son, having been in the fields all day, comes home to the sound of music and dancing. He's puzzled, he's confused. He learns that his younger brother has returned and his father has killed the fattened calf in celebration. This brother of his, who had wasted his inheritance, was now being celebrated. And this didn't sit well with the elder son. He felt a sting of resentment. He had been loyal, he had been diligent, and yet no calf was ever killed for him. But his father, with a soft look in his eyes, explains to him, "Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad, for this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." The story of the prodigal son ends here, but what can we learn from it? The story of the prodigal son is more than just a tale. It's a lesson. It's a mirror reflecting life's complexities, a wayward journey, a humbling realization, a father's boundless forgiveness, and a sibling's simmering resentment. This narrative teaches us the power of forgiveness, the paramount importance of family, and the corrosive effects of jealousy and resentment. It reminds us that we all stumble, yet every fall is an opportunity to rise, to learn, to grow. Remember, everyone makes mistakes, but it's never too late to correct them and seek forgiveness.